Just want to welcome everybody tonight. We have some scouts, I think that's Troop 7 back there, that are with us tonight. Thank you for being here. I also want to thank my wife, Catherine, for being here. She gives me a lot of support, and I want to thank her for being with us tonight. I also want to introduce our city council members. Most of you know them. They've been council members for some time. All of them have been reelected multiple times. Starting over here, Lois Watkins, Tom Rogers, Andre Knight, Reuben Blackwell, W.B. Bullock, Chris Miller, and our Mayor Pro Tem, Lamont Wiggins. So again, I want to thank them for the work they continue to do on the behalf of the Rocky Mount citizens and obviously support me in a lot of different ways as my role as mayor. So thank you for the work that you do. We also have our city attorney back here, so we want to recognize him. And we got a number of department heads here with us as well. But I also first want to start with our city manager, Charles Penny. Charles has been with the city, I think, 22 years. He's entering his 6th role as city manager. He's done an excellent job. He was assistant city manager before he became manager, and his wife, Edith, is with us tonight. Thank you for being with us as well, Edith. We also have assistant city managers that are with us tonight. We have Tasha Logan. Tasha, where are you? Has she gone home? But is she, maybe not. Where's she? She stepped out right now. Well, she, our assistant manager, she came with us about 3 years ago, and Thomas Moten. Thomas has been here about 2 years, starting his 2nd year. They both have added to the population of Rocky Mount. Tasha is expecting any time, and Thomas moved his parents to Rocky Mount, so thanks for increasing the population in Rocky Mount. So, I also want to thank our department heads. A lot of the work that gets done on a day-to-day basis with our employees, have to be managed, and our department heads do an excellent job of managing our employees and getting the work done that needs to be done in the city of Rocky Mount on a day-to-day basis. If you're a department head, if you'll just raise your hand, and so we can just recognize some of them that may not all be here tonight, but we want to thank you for the work that you do. Before I became mayor or city council member, I probably took a lot of things that happened in the city for granted. They just got done. I didn't worry about who did them. When I went to cut on my water, it came on. When I turned on my utilities, my electricity, it came on. But I don't think most people stop and think what it takes to run a city the size of Rocky Mount. We have 900 employees. Our employees do a great job here in the city of Rocky Mount. We are the 16th largest city in the state of North Carolina now. North Carolina is the 9th largest state in the United States right now. We have over 10 million people living in the state of North Carolina right now today. And in the state, there are over 400 cities, towns, and villages in our state, and there are only 37 cities that have over 25,000 people living in them. So you may not see Rocky Mount as a large area, but it is a metropolitan area, and there are only 36 other cities in our state that have a population of 25,000 people or more. So I want to thank our employees. If any of you are here tonight, thank you for the work that you do. It takes a lot to run a city our size, and we got a lot of great employees that do a lot of great work in our city. And last, the citizens of Rocky Mount, I want to thank you. Most everything we do, we always take in consideration of how it impacts our citizens. I know some of you don't always agree with all the decisions that we make, but I can assure you that there's not a decision that we make we don't think about how it's going to impact the citizens of Rocky Mount when we make that decision. So I do want you to keep that in mind as we work on your behalf each and every day of the year. I want to start off, because we've got a limited amount of time, to talk about some economic development that's going on. Rocky Mount has been and continues to be the retail center for northeastern North Carolina. We have over 5 million square feet of retail space in the city of Rocky Mount. We contribute over $2 billion a year in our MSA, that's both counties combined, and 60% of that retail business is in the city of Rocky Mount. So we are the retail center not only for Nash and Edgecombe County, but also for northeastern North Carolina. Talking about retail development, in addition to the 5 million square feet we already have, Alan Matthews, our economic developer for small businesses, has been working with a developer out of South Carolina. That developer has acquired 15 acres along Westland Boulevard. He is looking at, and we have the plans in the city right now, developing 100,000 square foot of retail space along 301. That retail space will end up employing about 300 people in the city of Rocky Mount. And so that is an ongoing project right now. We've already had the developer come back and talk about expanding that footprint. It'll bring additional national brands to the city of Rocky Mount. But that is a project right now that appears to be moving forward. We're continuing to work with that developer in the city, and so you're going to see more to come on that. The other thing that we're negotiating right now out at Golden East Mall, they have been negotiating with a client that will lease 40,000 square feet of retail space. They would go where Best Buy was at one time, and there was a pet store at that time, combining those two spaces to create a 40,000 square foot of retail space there. They are very, very close to hopefully to signing a lease with that particular retailer at this point in time. We have 2 new hotels going up in Rocky Mount. You know, one of the issues that we have in Rocky Mount, we have a lot of people coming to the city on a regular basis. They're coming for the athletic complex. We have a lot of city reunions, family reunions in the city of Rocky Mount. For some reason, they just gather here. Maybe it's because we're halfway between New York and Florida. But we have a lot of people coming, and we don't have enough hotel rooms. So when big sporting events come into the city of Rocky Mount, people are staying in Roanoke Rapids, Greenville, Wilson, and other areas. So we do have 2 new hotels coming. One is the Fairfield Inn, which is out on English Road, and Homewood Suites, which is behind the Gateway Center. Those are both under construction now. I think most people are aware that this summer, Hospira was purchased by Pfizer Drugs. That took about a year to happen. Pfizer is the world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturer, and we're lucky to have them in the city of Rocky Mount. That transpired over the summer months. One of the things that's been happening out at Pfizer over the last 3 years, and by the time they finish it up, they will have spent over $300 million in the last 4 years in the city of Rocky Mount. It is a huge benefit to have that employer here. There's about 3,000 people that work at Hospira, Pfizer now. But it is a major employer here. We're grateful that they're here. They continue to invest in the city of Rocky Mount. And because of that investment, we hope that they'll be here for years to come. I will say this about that project. One of the things that we did, we worked very closely with the state and with Nash County on negotiating incentives to make sure that they stayed, but they also expanded in the city of Rocky Mount. So thanks to the state and Nash County for working with us on that particular project. We also have Draka Elevators here in town. It is an international company. They have been here in Rocky Mount for some time. They are looking at an addition here in Rocky Mount. They'll spend about $3.1 million in Rocky Mount. They'll add an additional 70 jobs in the city of Rocky Mount. That is a project that's underway now, and they'll be spending that money over the next several years. I think most people realize that Buffalo Wild Wings opened up right around Thanksgiving this past year. You know, being in the business, we have a lot of young people that look at coming to work in our area with some of the industry. But one of the things that we lacked was probably enough things for young people to do in our community. So Buffalo Wild Wings offers an alternative. It's something that a lot of them are used to in other communities that they travel in. So it's been a great addition to the city of Rocky Mount. They spent $3.5 million on that facility, but more importantly, they employ about 100 people here in the city of Rocky Mount. So we've talked to the manager. He's doing extremely well. They're pleased in Rocky Mount and hoping to continue to do well here. Another project that's along the way, and this is the North Carolina Department of Revenue. They are getting ready to build a 22,000 square foot building in the city of Rocky Mount. This will have, they're going to invest about $3 million. I'm not sure whether they're actually building it or an investor's buying it and leasing it back to him. They're going to spend about $3 million, and they're going to create 150 jobs. This will be a service center and a call center here in the city of Rocky Mount. So we are glad that they're continuing to invest in Rocky Mount, and it's great that we have them here in our community. We also have, and I'm just going down these projects very, very quickly, a new trucking company that's moving to Rocky Mount. CT Trucking is acquiring about 25 acres back behind the Fountain Correctional Institution in Edgecombe Industrial Park. They have acquired that land. I think they've already acquired 15 acres, and they're acquiring the balance of it now. They are dealing with a local builder, developer to build their facility out there, so they'll be moving in. Hopefully in the next year they'll have their trucking company up and running here in Rocky Mount. And speaking about economic development projects, one of the best things that we've ever done here in Rocky Mount is creating the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. It's done an awful lot over the number of years that they have been there. We had a change in the Carolinas Gateway Partnership in January. We hired Norris Tolson. Many of you know Norris. He was originally was in the private business with DuPont, private industry. But then he moved to, was a member of the General Assembly, and after that he was Secretary of Transportation, Gus. He was Secretary of Revenue, and he was also Secretary of Commerce. So we've got somebody at the helm of the Carolinas Gateway Partnership that knows people all over the state. He knows people all over the country. So we're looking for great things to happen through the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. I talked to him today, and right now they're dealing with about 39 different companies that are looking at the possibility of coming to Rocky Mount. We won't get all of these, but we'll get some of them. They are really actively working 24 of those 39 companies right now. If every one of these jobs came, it would be a $3 billion investment and over 9,000 new jobs in the city of Rocky Mount. So there's a lot going at the Carolinas Gateway Partnership right now. We have two great vice presidents that do an excellent job. But it is an example how Nash County, Edgecombe County, and the city of Rocky Mount and the private sector can work together to help move us forward economically in this particular area. So they're doing a great job, and we want to continue to support them, not only at the city, but the private level with our private investment that many of our citizens contribute to. Also want to talk about economic development, and you can't do that these days without talking about downtown Rocky Mount, the developments happening there. In addition to that, the Downtown Community Center. In January, I think most of you are aware right now that Edgecombe Community College has just completed their biotechnology center in downtown Rocky Mount. If you hadn't seen the building, you need to ride by there. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he had not been down to see it. It's an amazing building. If you go through it, it is about 45,000 square feet. They had the grand opening on last Friday, and the environment down there simulates a hospital, so that it has what you would look at as an operating ER room, an operating delivery room, operating nurse stations, all the things that you would find in a working hospital. It's a major program for Edgecombe Community College, and it will attract people here, not just from the Rocky Mount area, but from different areas in the state and the country to come to go to that biotech center here in Rocky Mount. The one thing that is really critical about that building is that the citizens of Edgecombe County approved a 0.5% sales tax increase to fund that particular project. And so because their efforts to do that economic development in downtown Rocky Mount, we have a beautiful new 45,000 square foot building in the city of Rocky Mount. In addition to that, while we're talking about community college, Nash Community College also finished their 72,000 square foot continuing education building this past year. They've moved into that, and we're just very, very fortunate to have not one but two community colleges in our city. Both of them doing extremely well. In addition to North Carolina Wesleyan College, we are very, very fortunate to have these educational facilities in our community. Back to downtown, Southern Bank. I think many of you know that Southern Bank, you can't drive downtown without seeing that. They are building a new 3-story building in downtown Rocky Mount. This is the first major investment in downtown Rocky Mount, private investment, in the last 20 years. There's been smaller investment, but that kind of investment, this is the first one. They could have gone anywhere in Rocky Mount, but Mr. Holding, one of the major stockholders in the bank, decided he wanted to be in downtown Rocky Mount. He was here, he wanted to stay in downtown Rocky Mount, and we're grateful that he just made that decision. I want to thank Michael Bryant, their city exec, for again being very supportive of that. And as part of that initiative, the city is buying the Southern Bank building across the street. We may already own it at this point in time. They're leasing it back to us right now. We'll be moving our utility billing payment office downstairs, that we have. Many of you, if you come down to pay your utility bills, you see long lines at the end of the month, and that won't happen anymore. We'll have the facility across the street that we'll be at. We'll also move some other cities' offices. We have a building on Hammond Street that is in need of major repair, so we're going to get those people out of that building and put some other city offices over at the Southern Bank building, but it'll be a great addition to the city of Rocky Mount and something that the city can be proud of. The other thing that if you notice that PNC has continued to bring employees back downtown. When we met with them originally, when they decided to purchase RBC, they decided that they wanted to come back downtown Rocky Mount. They've moved more and more jobs out of the Hardee's building out near the athletic complex, and so they've put a lot of time and effort and money into their buildings downtown. They both look extremely nice right now, so we want to thank PNC. Has probably close to 1,000 employees in the city of Rocky Mount, so they're still a major employer in our area, and we want to thank PNC for what they continue to do in Rocky Mount. John Jessel, I see him sitting over here talking about the investments that are being made in Rocky Mount right now. One of the things that he has done is he's had more and more interest in downtown Rocky Mount. Part of that's been for two reasons. One is the Rocky Mount Mills project, which is a private investment. The other thing is the investment that the city has already made in downtown Rocky Mount with our streetscape. But more importantly, some of the proposed initiatives that we have, the downtown community facility that we're talking about possibly building here in Rocky Mount, has created a lot of interest in downtown Rocky Mount. Right now, today, according to John, and I know two properties went under contract in the last 2 weeks, but we've had 16 new investments in downtown Rocky Mount, and we've got 8 pending investments, and we've got 6 properties owners that are reinvesting in their own properties. So, you know, I've been in Rocky Mount my whole life, and there are people that said we just need to bulldoze downtown Rocky Mount, that we'd never be able to bring it back. Well, we are bringing it back. We made the investment in our streetscape. That's paid off. We made the investment in the Douglas block. That's paid off. And now with the activity that we're having in downtown Rocky Mount, you're seeing more and more people. And some of these people coming from outside the area, they've seen what's happened in areas like Asheville and in Durham. And so they're looking at Rocky Mount as a very great opportunity right now because of what some of these buildings are selling for. And that won't last because some of these buildings are being sold now. I see Van Joins back there. He's one of the people that has moved in from outside the area, and we thank him for what he's doing. So we are making some major progress in the downtown area right now, and it's something that we continue to hopefully will continue with. I want to talk a minute about our downtown community facility. This is something that I know many of you know that we've been talking about for some time. One of the issues that we had initially is trying to figure out exactly what we were going to do. But I will tell you that this project has had more due diligence than anything that we've done in the 12 years I've been involved at the city. We have spent more time on this, more due diligence, trying to make sure that we get this right. We've had opposition to this. We've had people in the community that didn't feel like we needed to put it downtown, that we didn't need a facility like this. But I got to tell you, today, Michael Goodman was in Rocky Mount speaking at the Rotary Club, and one of the things that he said was what attracted them to Rocky Mount was the public investments that the city had made in the city of Rocky Mount. If we want to be different, if we want to do something different, then we have to make those investments in Rocky Mount. This has always been an economic development project in terms of what the city council looks at. Yes, it was to continue with our downtown development, but it is in order to provide those things that companies are looking for when they come to a city like Rocky Mount. When employees that are coming to a city like Rocky Mount, what we don't want are people that are coming in, working with our industry, and then leaving at night going somewhere else. We want to have those facilities in the city of Rocky Mount that are going to keep people here, they're going to bring jobs here, they're going to bring companies here, and those employees are going to live in Rocky Mount because we have enough activities in our community that they want to stay in our community. And so that's an important part of why we have made this decision to focus on this. The other thing that we did, we kind of shifted our focus on this. Originally, it was going to be a fixed seating type facility. Now it's a very, very flexible facility. It's a 160,000 square foot facility. This building is really being focused on youth and amateur sports. If you look across the country right now, 27% of all travel in the United States is around sports tourism. people going somewhere for a sporting event. It's a huge business right now in the United States, and so we want to take advantage of that. We want this to be a destination for people that come to Rocky Mount. And some people say, well, they're not going to come to Rocky Mount, but I'll tell you, they're already coming. We have 100,000 people a year coming to our sports complex right now, and probably people would have said they're never going to come to Rocky Mount, but they're coming, and that's why we have 2 new hotels coming, and we're going to need some others as well. The other thing that I want to just tell you about the building, this building is very, very flexible. It could be 16 volleyball courts tonight. Tomorrow we could have 8 AAU basketball courts in that facility. Next week we could have 5,000 people in there for an event. We could have it open for a trade show. All the people that want to go to high school graduations, our superintendent's here. You know, we don't have a facility they can go now. They have to decide who's going to go to a graduation. So there's a lot of different uses that building's going to be used for. We're going to have a ropes course in there, a climbing wall in there, a family entertainment center in there. There'll be space in there for events with the Gateway Center closing down. Obviously, there's got to be areas in Rocky Mount where people can have events, and so we're going to have banquet facilities. We're going to have other meeting rooms in that facility. So it's going to be a facility that's going to be a lot of different uses in our community. One of the things we did is we did a lot of work on the financial piece on this. And by the way, Rocky Mount is in great financial condition right now. We always have an internal an auditor that does an audit on us, and we're in excellent financial condition. We hired a company called Sports Facilities Advisors, and their performance indicated in year 1, we acquire another 9,000 hotel rooms. People staying in our city, 9,000 rooms in the first year. And this is only with 20 events. Now, I know some people say, well, how can you do that with only 20 events? You bring a volleyball tournament to Rocky Mount, and there are 80 teams, and there are 10 people on every team. That's 800 people, not including the coaches and the parents and people that travel with them. So it's easy to see how you could have 9,000 additional rooms that might be needed in the city for these events. In year 5, we would experience 46,000 additional hotel room nights in the city of Rocky Mount, and we'd have 300,000 people annually that would come to Rocky Mount for 48 events. Now, all these events are not going to be huge events, but all different size events that we would have, and the total economic impact is expected to be $264 million over a 10-year period. So if you go back and you say, well, why would the City Council consider this? That's why the City Council would consider this. It's not just about downtown redevelopment. It's about an economic model in our community that we think will be very, very successful. So we hope we've had a lot of community meetings, small and large, that we've got a lot of the community support now, and hopefully this is something that we're going to be moving forward on. We have control of the site. We have a not-to-exceed bid right now. We've selected our contractors, and we know that we've got some long-term financing that people have committed to us. We're working on some tax credits right now, so we're trying to finish up all the pieces of this, but we're 95% there, and hopefully we'll be able to make some kind of announcement on this facility in the next couple of months. I want to talk just a minute. You can't talk about Rocky Mount now without talking about Rocky Mount Mills. Again, some of you were at the Rotary Club today. Michael Goodman was there. He did a presentation on the mill and what's going on right there. He is so positive about Rocky Mount. It's incredible. Hopefully you'll be able to see it was recorded, and it's going to be on Channel 19, and I think on WHIG TV we'll be playing that. But he talked about the mill project, and as you go down there right now, you can see all the progress that's being made right now. The entranceway, the parking, the landscaping is all being finished up right now. That's phase 1. They've also, in phase 1, are finishing up. They had their first microbrewery out in Koi Pond. If you've not been there, you need to go. I think last Sunday or the Sunday before, they had 150 people down there on a Sunday afternoon. It is attracting young people, but it's also, my wife and I went there one night. We thought we'd be the oldest people there. There were people our age or similar to us, and so we looked around and thought, well, we're the young people, and he said, well, they come in about 8:30. So, but it's a great facility, and we have Sweet Taters opening. That's another microbrewery. We'll also have a food component to it that's going to be opening up in April. And so those two will be open right now. The third building along Falls Road right now, They are talking right now, negotiating with another facility that would open up a restaurant or a tavern in that. They're very, very close to signing a lease on that right now. And then the fourth building is where their offices are, Capital Broadcasting, and also Springboard, which is a micro incubator right here for small businesses. You'll hear a lot more about that as that gets up and running. The other thing that they're doing, and that's phase one, and they're hoping to be finished with phase one at the end of May. Phase two, they'll open up their third brewery. They'll also be doing some work on the warehousing that they'll have over in the area. They will be doing additional construction to add additional breweries over there. By the time they finished up on all this, and again, this is from Michael Goodman today, they would have approximately 100,000 square foot of office space. They would have 200 residential units, and they would have 4 restaurants in the mill area. They are committed to this project. As you look around the mill project right now, they also bought all the mill homes when they bought the mill. They renovated 8 homes, I think, to date. If you've not been on them, they're fabulous homes, and they're renting them as fast as they can finish them. They hope to be finished with 25 of those homes by the end of this year, and in the next couple of years they'll finish up the rest of the 80 properties as far as homes there, but they're going to put some other living residential units in the main mill itself. They hope to have 50 to 60 residential units in the mill. They'll also have over 100,000 square foot of office space in the mill. And so they got a lot of plans, and they're working on all of it right now, and working very, very hard. You're seeing a lot of activity down there. And I got to tell you, the positive comments that we're getting from everybody in this community, a lot of it, and I think it's because somebody that doesn't live in our community saw something that could be done in our community and saw an opportunity here. And so it's great sometimes that people that outside of our area see what we have here in Rocky Mount, and they're spending a lot of time, effort, and money in the city of Rocky Mount, and we want to thank Capital Broadcasting for those investments. Moving on to other things right now in some other departments, some things that I think a lot of you are aware of, and it's our energy resources. I think most of you are aware that we sold our power generating facilities this summer to Duke Energy, along with 30 other cities in North Carolina. It allowed us locally to reduce our electric rate by 14% in the city of Rocky Mount. This is something that our city council has worked on for many, many years. How do we get our electric rate down? So we're grateful for that. The other thing that we've done in our Energy Resource Department is also looked at a study that we had done, and we're able to reduce our gas rates by 7% in the city of Rocky Mount. So those two combined to hopefully help citizens in the Rocky Mount with their utility bills. But one of the most important things we did this year is we built a second point of delivery station in Rocky Mount. Right now, the only station that we have is on Old Mill Road. If that station goes down, we're kind of out of business. It's where we get our power from Duke Energy, and then we distribute it to our customers. We got 27,000 customers in the city of Rocky Mount. We just finished this in the last 4 or 5 months, our second point of delivery station. It's on Grayson Road. The great thing about this facility is not only allows us to take our other one offline to do repairs, but our city staff did most of the work on this facility. We had some consultants and other people that did the site work, but our city employees in the Energy Resource Department did the work on this facility. So not only do we have the facility, we also saved a lot of money for the citizens of Rocky Mount by doing it in-house. So they did a great job. I want to thank them. Moving on public safety, I say this all the time, we spend about 39% of our annual operating budget on public safety. Our fire department, I see T. Farnell here, thank you for being here. A couple of things that they've done here with the city. We've placed 151 defibrillators in the city of Rocky Mount in different locations. We've also trained 4,000 people on how to use those, and also on CPR. So hopefully that makes Rocky Mount a safer place. The other thing the fire department's done is a lot of public education on fire safety, and that resulted in a 30% reduction in our structural fires in between 2014 and 2015. What does that mean for Rocky Mount? It means that we save not only property, but we hopefully save lives in the process. And they saved 97% of all the structural fires in Rocky Mount, which means when they showed up, they couldn't save only 3%. That 97% that they saved represents $27 million worth of property in the city of Rocky Mount. So our fire department is responding. They're doing a lot of great work, and so we want to thank them for what they're doing. I would also tell you that we have 10,000 calls to our fire department every year. 80% of those are for EMS calls, and we had 12 people this year that were in full cardiac arrest when our fire department got there, and when they left, they had a pulse and they were breathing. So again, they're doing a great job in the city of Rocky Mount. I want to thank them for their work that they're doing. Also with public safety is our police department. I see Chief Moore in the back. We have had double-digit crime reduction statistics in Rocky Mount for the last 3 years. Rocky Mount had the lowest crime rate since 1978. 37 years that we've had a crime rate this low. There are people in the community that would say, well, no, it was safer in 1985, or it was safer in 1995. Actually, it is safer right now in the city of Rocky Mount than at any time since 1978. You know, I had somebody call me and said, well, I don't believe those figures. How do you quantify them? They're verified by the FBI. So we know what we report. We've reported it the same way all these years, and so, but a lot of citizens don't realize that the progress that we're making in our police department, and we've done that in a number of different ways. We certainly still are going to focus on guns, drugs, and gangs in the city of Rocky Mount, but we're also doing a lot of work within the cities with community policing, getting to know our communities better, working in those communities, having people work with the police department, and those are all initiatives that Chief Moore has done. The other thing that we're doing, because we don't want to focus in the city of Rocky Mount, we also have been doing something called Know Your Rights. This is an initiative with the City of Rocky Mount Police Department and our Human Relations Commission. Thank you, Archie. And it's called Know Your Rights. In fact, we got written up in the LA Times because of this initiative here in Rocky Mount. And what we're doing is we're doing these so people in Rocky Mount know what their rights are when they get stopped by the police, when there's a search warrant for their car or their house needs to be searched, what their First Amendment rights are. So what we're doing is trying to be proactive in our community so when people are stopped by the police department, they know what their rights are. The other thing that we've been doing, and every one of our police officers have been through fair and impartial policing. Again, what we want to make sure is that our police department, our officers are out there, know what they're doing, and they're fair and impartial when they stop somebody. And so we've made really, really good efforts in our police department. And you know, it's something for me as the mayor, you know, it was an issue with me because every time I turn around, somebody talk about our high crime statistics. What I don't hear is all these people are talking about, it's great that we've reduced our crime over the last 3 years. So, you know, that's what we need to hear is we need to have people in Rocky Mount acknowledge that we've made a lot of progress in the last 3 years. And again, I want to thank our police department for that. Our Parks and Recreation Department, just to be real brief about that, I've already told you about the sports complex. We had about 92,000 people come in last year. It created about a $10 million economic impact in the city of Rocky Mount. We also had a national conference here, which was the Cross Currents Art and Leadership Conference at the Imperial Center. There were people from all over the country that were here for that conference. We also have the USA South Spring Sports Tournament in Rocky Mount coming back. I think that this is their 4th year here, maybe 5th. They'll bring 800 athletes in. They'll bring their parents, their other people that come in and travel with them. That's going to be April 14th through 17th. They'll be using other facilities in Rocky Mount in addition to our sports complex. And so we're grateful to have them coming back to Rocky Mount. It has a significant impact on our economy, and so we're glad that they're coming back to Rocky Mount. One of the best things we did this year, and again, we did have a master plan for our Parks and Recreation Department. Unfortunately, Hurricane Floyd in 1999 kind of did away with that. So we haven't had one since that time, but our Parks and Recreation Department, along with community people that gave input into this plan, finished that up this year. So this is a 10 or 15 year plan about what we want to go and what we want to do with our parks in the city of Rocky Mount. We have 55 parks in the city of Rocky Mount, which for a city our size is a tremendous amount of parks. We have a lot of open space in Rocky Mount, but that master plan will give us a blueprint for where we're going to be going over the next 10 or 15 years in Rocky Mount. As part of that plan, the renovation of the South Rocky Mount Community Center is being finished up right now. That's an incredibly great facility. It's well used and it needed to be renovated, didn't it, Lois? So we're glad that we're finishing that up. We also opened our Best Friends Dog Park. It's one of the largest off-leash dog parks in the state. And again, we've had great reaction to that. People are very, very complimentary about what we've done out there. And that was a public-private investment. We had private people that put money into that, organizations that put in money into it, as well as the city of Rocky Mount. So we're fortunate about that. Also, if you ride by the Sunset Tennis Courts, you'll also see that out there we've made major improvements out there, resurfaced the courts, new fencing, new lighting, and it's just a great looking facility, and it needed to be done. We hadn't done anything out there in about 10 years, so we're fortunate that that got done today as well. One of the other things, and how this ends up under Parks and Recreation, I'm not always sure, and that's the MLK exhibit and audio restoration that we had here in Rocky Mount. We got national coverage. I don't know how many of you know, and he made his I Have a Dream speech in Rocky Mount, and this was the first time he had made that speech. There are other people that would tell you he had made it other places, but we now actually have a recording of that. We had a professor from NC State University, Jason Miller, who got the recording. He remastered it, and so that has been national news, and how City of Rocky Mount was the original place where Dr. King made his I Have a Dream speech. It was made at the Booker T. High School gymnasium, and so we're fortunate that somebody just came to the library one day and had found this somewhere, and we're glad that Dr. Miller got it, and we're getting a lot of activity and people that are noticing that across the country. Marketing, really quick, just want to talk about the article that was in the newspaper today, front page. There was an attorney here, Thomas Moore, a very, very positive story about Rocky Mount and how he felt about Rocky Mount. And that really ties into our Twin Counties visioning and strategic planning process, and part of that was our positive image campaign that's been happening in Rocky Mount. Don Williams and Dorsey Tobias have chaired that. We've raised over $70,000 from the private sector for our phase one of that campaign. We've also got $120,000 that's been raised from the public side for our second phase of that campaign. And what we're doing is the campaign focuses on, the first phase was internally, how people in this area feel about our area. And it's really not about Rocky Mount, it's about the Twin County area and focusing on those things that are in our Twin County area that make it a positive place to live. Our second phase of the campaign, which I say ours, it is all of ours, is going to focus on external. They're doing things in the Greenville newspaper, the News and Observer, and other places to emphasize the positive things about our community. So you're going to see a lot more of that going on right now. We want to thank them for their efforts with that. Tamika in the back there, our public information director, is also doing a lot to make sure that we're recognized. We've been doing ads on Facebook. We've been using CenturyLink, News and Observer, ABC TV on that. Again, I told you about coverage that we've gotten from the LA Times. The Dr. King story was on ABC World News, CNN, and the New York Daily News, so we've gotten a lot of great coverage on that. And also our Imperial Center has been focused on being featured on UNC TV as well as WRAL. So we're having great coverage on some things that are happening here in Rocky Mount. Housing, we had an hour and a half discussion about housing today. We had a housing study done last year, but we've got some projects particularly focused on affordable housing in the city of Rocky Mount. And I recognized Van a while ago, but one of the major projects, you can come downtown Rocky Mount now, and you can see that open space between Sunset Avenue and Thomas Street along Bill Street. They're going to be developing the Bill Street Square apartments there. There's going to be 80 one- and two-bedroom apartments there. They're going to have a community building, a playground. It not only cleans up that area, but it provides affordable housing for residents in the city of Rocky Mount. So we're glad that Van came to Rocky Mount. He stayed in Rocky Mount, and he's making investments in Rocky Mount. Holly Street, there's a couple of projects that the Edgecombe Community Development Corporation has been involved in for many, many years. One is the Holly Street project that they're still doing. I think they did 4 units over there this year, duplexes. They're renovating Harambe Square. There are 24 units in Harambe Square that have been there for some time. They're renovating those units right now. They're also working on Genesis Estate, which is single-family homes over near where their offices are. Those are all great projects for the city of Rocky Mount to provide affordable housing for the citizens here in Rocky Mount. The other project that we're working on right now, in fact, it's on our agenda tonight, is Claremont Apartments. If you leave Rocky Mount on the left, there's an old apartment complex there. It's abandoned. It's been deteriorating over a number of years. The Powell family gave it to the city of Rocky Mount last year. What we're doing is we're going to go ahead and demolish those apartments. It's 100 units out there, and we've already got somebody that wants to redevelop that project, put 100 units back out there, we hope, maybe even more. So again, all of these are focused on housing. And again, I look at our city council, this has been something that we have focused on over the last several years, how to provide affordable housing in the city of Rocky Mount. And this is something that's not just for the city of Rocky Mount, it's across the state. Every city is looking at how they provide affordable housing in their area. So I've been talking about all these great things in the city of Rocky Mount and what's going on. 2 areas that I just want to real briefly say something about. One is schools. I know many of you have been keeping up this. It's been controversial in our community. I see the superintendent here right now. And a lot of what's happened in the city of Rocky Mount was a decision that was made back in 1992. And a lot of it has to do with the funding and maybe the disparity between the 2 counties right now within the school systems. I got to tell you, everything's been done according to what was decided by the court in 1992. There's no I don't think anybody has any question about the funding and how it's been allocated, and it's all been done the way it should have been done. But obviously right now there's a question about that funding formula. What we need to do is we need to resolve this in the city of Rocky Mount. We don't need the General Assembly making a decision for the city of Rocky Mount and our schools. We need it to be done locally. Later in March, the 2 county commissioners, Edgecombe and Nash County commissioners are going to meet to discuss this issue. If this is truly about the funding of the schools, then we ought to be able to work something out to resolve that issue. And what we need to be talking about is the funding formula, not splitting our school system up. The one thing that I've not heard in all the discussions is what's in the best interest of the students. And that is the thing that we need to focus on, is what is in the best interest of the students. It can't always be about money and funding. It has to be what's in the best interest of the students that are going to those schools. So my hope is that the 2 counties, when they get together and make this discussion, that they'll be able to move forward and we can resolve this school situation within our own community and not have to be decided at the state level. So I hope all of you will encourage them to be able to work and resolve that. Other thing that I want to just mention real briefly, and that's litter in our community. I got to tell you, we had the Metro mayors here in Rocky Mount a couple of weeks ago, and unsolicited, and these are the 32 larger cities and their city managers, their mayors were here in Rocky Mount. Unsolicited, we had a mayor from one of the cities in North Carolina bring up litter and how it was the worst he had ever seen in his community. And right now in Rocky Mount, it's become an issue. It's been an issue, but we were fortunate, I guess, that we had Fountain Correctional Institute here, and so we got a lot of help in the community in terms of litter and cleaning up the community when they were here. That facilities or the people that were there got relocated to another facility, so we don't have that here anymore to help us out. But this was an agenda item at the Rocky Mount City Council retreat that we just had in Greensburg. It is an issue that we're aware of. It's an issue that we've all got to work together on in the city of Rocky Mount. We're putting resources to it now. We're initially going to try to make sure that our major thoroughfares coming in and out of Rocky Mount are cleaned up. We're asking city employees to help us out with that. But we also need help from the community. We formed a community anti-litter coalitions forum. We have several council members that are serving on that. People from the Chamber of Commerce, Nash County Travel and Tourism, area colleges, and the Telegram is also helping with us. We did a great job here in Rocky Mount for many, many years, and I don't know whether people have just decided, I don't want to keep this in a car and throw it out the window, But it is an issue that we have here in Rocky Mount, and we need all of your help. We have Keep America Beautiful that is housed here in the city of Rocky Mount, and they have initiatives during the year like Adopt a Spot, the Great American Cleanup, and the Twin Counties Big Sweep. But that doesn't do it. We need churches. We need individuals that own businesses. We need individuals in their neighborhoods to go out and clean up the trash in their area. You know, we all need to take responsibility for this. I don't know the solution is more penalties for people that litter. The problem is, how do you catch them when you do it? And also our police force needs to be doing other things, but it is an issue in the city of Rocky Mount. We just want you to know that we acknowledge it. It's an issue in our community, and we're going to continue to work on it in Rocky Mount. Two other things real quick, because I see Gus Tullis here. I don't know how many of you are aware, but we're getting ready, acquiring the right-of-ways right now. The DOT is along 301, that area from, I think it's May Drive, down past where the mall is at that bridge. 301 is going to be widened into 3 lanes along that thoroughfare. They're acquiring the rights right now. This is a major DOT project in the city of Rocky Mount. That is going to begin in 2017. So again, the DOT is continuing to invest in the city of Rocky Mount. We also have another DOT project that they're acquiring right-of-ways right now on, and that is along Hunter Hill Road. They did the Hunter Hill Road from Country Club all the way to Bimini Road. They're going to extend it now from Country Club back to Winston Avenue. They've acquired or acquiring the right-of-ways now, and that construction also will be in 2017. So we still have the DOT, investing a lot of money in the city of Rocky Mount. And I want to thank Gus for his work on that. Last thing I want to talk about is, and I'm going to be very brief, is 2 weeks ago we had the Metro Mayors here in Rocky Mount. And it's interesting when people from outside of your community come in, and these were some mayors from all over the state from larger cities, and how impressed they were with the city of Rocky Mount and the positive comments that we got from them as they left Rocky Mount. They stayed at the Doubletree. We had them at the Imperial Center. There was the mayors, their city managers or assistant city managers with them. The city staff did an excellent job. We had our meeting at the Imperial Center. They got to see that. All of them were just blown away with that facility. They could not believe we had that in the city of Rocky Mount. At the end of our meeting, we ended up going on a little tour. We took them through the Mill Project and ended up going to Koi Pond so they could have some refreshments before we ended up going to dinner. We took them on a small bus tour, short bus tour of downtown Rocky Mount, showed them some of the things that were going in there. Ended up at the Douglas Block and had our dinner and meeting at the Booker T Theater. It was a great event. And really what happened is after that, as I got comments from mayors that had come to the city of Rocky Mount, one of them, the Asheville mayor, said, who knew? Who knew that Rocky Mount had these kind of assets in them? But sometimes it's people from outside of our community. They look at what we have and they appreciate it sometimes more than the people that live in our community. So, we've got a lot going on. We had a lot going, and I've just mentioned a few things tonight. But for me personally, I've had more people come up to me in the last year to tell me how positive they feel about things that are happening in Rocky Mount than I've had since I became elected. I got elected in 2007. You know what happened after that? We went into a major recession. It's not something that as a newly elected mayor you want to deal with, but we dealt with that. We've been through that. We've had a lot of people that experienced it. Not only our citizens, but the city of Rocky Mount had to work through that. And we've done that. And the city has been financially on sound footing. We made corrections where we need to make it. But I do feel like that we're moving forward in the city of Rocky Mount, that we're making real progress in the city of Rocky Mount, and the attitude has changed in the city of Rocky Mount. I'm looking at these young people back here, and that's our future right there. We don't want you to leave Rocky Mount. We want you to come back to the city of Rocky Mount, and we want to give you a reason to come back to Rocky Mount when you're up and out. As I'm ending my comments tonight, I just want to have a quote here that I found. It's from Robert Collier. He's an author. He wrote a book called The Secret of Ages. And the quote goes like this: "We can only do what we think we can do. We can only be what we think we can be. We can only have what we think we can have. What we do, what we are, what we have, all depend on what we think." I think this is a great community. I think we can accomplish great things in this community, and I think we are in a blessed community. My hope and my prayer as we leave tonight is that our city and the people who live in our community will continue to be blessed. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for joining us for this time tonight. Thank you.